Hello everyone, welcome to class 3 in our Python programming basics series. So our main objective today will be to understand and apply conditional statements such as the if, and else. We are going to use loop such as the for loop, the while loop to repeat action and iterate over data structures. Then we are going to apply the break and the continue statement to control loop execution. Then we build a simple Python script that use logic to make decisions and perform repeated actions. So what are control structures? Control structures are instructions that determine the flow of execution in a program. They allow a program to make decisions using conditions, repeat tasks using loops. Control structures bring logic and flexibility in programming by letting your program react differently based on input, user choice, or data. So Python has three main types of control structure, which are conditional statements, which make decision, the loops, which repeat action, the loop control statement, which alter the loop behavior. So conditional statements in Python. Conditional statements allow a program to execute certain blocks of code only if specific conditions are true. Then we start with the if statement. The if statement tests a condition. If the condition is true, the indented blocks run. For example, let's look at this syntax. The if condition goes here, then the block of code that will be executed if the condition given here is being met. So for example, look at the age. The age is equals to 18. So if age is greater than or equals to 18, prints you are eligible to vote. So this is a kind of voting app that check if someone is up to the age of 18. Then if that person is up to the age of 18, if that condition is true, 18 and above, that is what this comparison operator is trying to do. I think that is it. Greater than or equals to. So it's just trying to check if this age here, the value in this age is greater than or equals to, it will print this particular line of code. So the if else statement, if the condition given is false, the code in the else block will be executed. So we have something like is locked in. This is basically used in backend websites. When once you are logged in using your password and username, is locked in can be changed to true. Remember, this is a boolean which can be either true or false. So when you are not logged in to a website, this variable is going to hold this boolean false. So you are not going to have access to some of the resources in the site. Like the e-commerce site, you will not have access to your dashboard and the rest of the resources that are maybe tailored to people that are logged in. So when once this variable store is false, we are going to print something like, if it's locked in, we're going to print something like welcome back. But else, if you are not logged in, you print something like please logged in. So this is the usefulness of if else statement, such that when once this other one is not executed, when once this one is not true, if the if statement, if the if condition is not true, the else will be executed. So we have the if, else if, and the else kind of ladder, where we are going to use multiple else if. So we are going to give multiple conditions. Remember, the first one we gave only single condition. The if and else if we give a two condition, either true or false. Then this if and else if else if and else ladder is going to give you varieties of condition. So if those conditions are met, is to just print the code that is indented under that condition. For example, this is a kind of should I say student grading system. So it's going to check the score of the student. If the score is greater than or equals to 90, to print that the students have what? Grade A. Else, if the score is greater than or equals to 80, it will print that the student have what? Grade B. Else, if the score is greater than or equal to 70, it will print that the student will have what? Grade C. Else, it can print something like maybe the person has what? Grade F. So if all these conditions are not met, the if condition, the else statement will have to take over, and then this particular code under will be executed. So the important thing you should take note is that condition must be Boolean expression. That means can be true and must be true or false. So always use indentation, that is four space or tab, to define the code, the code block that will run if that condition is met. So you can look at this. We are given four space from the if statement just to tell the program when once this condition is met, please execute this particular code below. So loops in Python. So as we have discussed earlier, that loops lets you repeat what? Code multiple times until a condition is met or a data is being exhausted. So we have the while loop, we have the for loop as well, but let's just look at the while loop. The while loop repeats a block of code as long as the condition is true. So this is the syntax. We have your condition here, then the block of code that follows after it to be executed. So let's say count equals to 1. Remember, we talked about the variable. We talked about this as a data type that is stored in a variable count. So 1 is stored in the variable count. So while count is less than or equals to 5, it's going to print count. This is a string, remember, and then it will add it to this variable. So any value that is in this one now will be printed out here. So to print count, then it will put that particular value that is in the variable count. Then after the code has been executed, it will do what? It will add. Remember, we said something like add assigned, subtract assigned, multiply assigned, and the rest of it. We have a lot of these. So you're just trying to be like, okay, please update the value that was in this variable by 1. So when once this 1 comes down, 1 is less than or equals to 5. So it's going to print 1. Then the count will be updated. So now count is going to hold the value 2. It will go back. It will check is 2 less than or equals to 5. Is less than or equals to 5. So it's going to print out until it gets to what? 5. When once it's reached 5, it will print out the 5. Then when once this is added again to turn to 6, so it will come and check that condition again. So it will see that 6 is not less than or equals to 5. So it will break the code automatically. So while loop is used to repeat a block of code. As long as the condition you are given is true, it will keep on repeating that task over and over again. We have another one, the for loop. The for loop is just used to iterate over a sequence like the string, like list, and the rest. So this is the syntax for variable in sequence. For variable in sequence, this variable is going to hold each value from a list of sequence, and then the block of code will be executed. For example, let's take a look at this. We have a name here storing a list of names of people. They are Alice, Bob, and Daniel. Then we just give a for loop here for name in names. Remember, this was the names. Now when it iterates over this list, now each of this value, my bad please, each of this value will be stored in this variable name, and to print out each of the value in the name. So this is what will happen for name in names. Now print hello, then the name, which is the variable. So it will just pick Alice first, store it in this variable name, print it out. Pick Bob, store it in the variable, print it out. Pick Daniel, store it in the variable, print it out. So at the end of the day, all these elements that are in this list will be printed out. So we can loop using range as well. Range is a function in Python. So for example, for I in range between the number of 1 and 6, that means it's going to print number from what? From 1 to 5, because in Python, the last element will not be printed out that you specify. It will not be printed out. To start from the first and then to print and to a number before the last element. So this code now is going to iterate over this sequence of numbers from 1 to what? To 5, and it will be printed out. So we have the loop control statement, then we have the break, and we have the continue as well. So these are the control statements in looping, that if you use break, you're trying to tell the loop that it should exit the loop. So it's used to exit the loop earlier. So for example, now we're supposed to go through a sequence or a range of number between 0 and 9, because this is going to print a number between 0 and 9. But we give a conditional statement if this I is what? If I is equals to 5, break that program. So if you want to exit a loop earlier than it should be, you're going to use the break statement. Then the continue, skip the current iteration and move to the next. So for example, for this range of numbers between 0 and 4, this is supposed to print a number between 0 and 4, but see what will happen. If it gets to 2, it will skip 2 and then continue to print 3 and 4. So continue statement is used to skip that current kind of condition you have given at that point and continue with the rest. So we are going to go over to our VS Code so that we can then get our hand dirty and do some practical things as well. So okay, this is our VS Code, and we are going to create a new file for this session. New file, and this class, it was class 3.ipymb. Okay. So we talked about looping in Python, and then we talk about the conditional statement as well. Then we talk about the if, the else if, and the rest. Then we talk about the while loop and the for loop. We talk about the break and the continue control statement. So let's look at our if statement. Let's say we want to create a voting app, just like we did in our theoretical part. Let's create a voting app that checks if somebody is up to 18. It will print that the person is eligible to vote. So we are going to ask a user for an input. Then we check that input. We give a condition from that input that the user inputted, and then we give an output. So let's say age is going to be equals to, we use an input function. We have talked about input function. We are going to give them the benefit of that. Please input your age here. Then we check the value that is stored in this age. Let's say I want it to be, let me just put an integer, or let me use float. Now let's go with int. So anything that the person puts in here is going to be converted to int. So let's check the age. Let's give a conditional statement. If age is greater than or equals to 18, do what? Print you are eligible to vote in the upcoming election. Let's run the code. So we're going to wait for it to connect to our kernel. So we have it here. So let's say we put in an age 18. You can see you are eligible to vote in the upcoming election. Then let's put in an age that is less than 18. Let's say 12. You can see nothing happens. We are going to work on that shortly. So let's put an age like 80. You can see I am eligible to vote in the upcoming election. So that is when the else statement comes in. Else statement is going to be the one to be executed if the condition given is not true. So if I give the else, then I will give print you are not eligible to vote in the upcoming election. So if we run the code again, then we try to put an age that is smaller than 18, let's say 12, you can see you are not eligible to vote in the upcoming election. Let's say you put in something like 17, you can see you are not eligible to vote in the upcoming election. Then let's use something above 18 or even 18. You are eligible to vote. So that is the usefulness of the else conditional statement. So let's try and show practically the how to make use of the else if statement. You say that the else if statement is used to give a different condition that will be executed. Once that condition is met, the block of code below it will be executed. So if you have something like the grading system in school, grading system in school that look at a student score and know if student has A, B, C, D, or even A. So let's say our score will be what? Will be int. Then please input your score. You are telling a user to input its score, and then we check this score. Like if score is greater than or equals to what? 80. Print grade A. Else if score is greater than or equals to what? 70. Print what? Grade B. Else if score is greater than or equals to, let's say, 50. Print what? Grade, please. Grade C. So else if score is greater than or equals to 40, print grade D. I think you have grade D. Okay. Else if score is greater than or equals to 30, print grade E. So if all this condition is not met, that's when the else condition will be executed. So else is going to print grade F. So the person has failed. Okay, so let's see what will happen. Let's try something else. Have 80. That's grade A. Let's try 70. That's grade B. Let's try something like 60. That's grade C. So that's how the else if statement work in Python programming. So that takes us to another. So we also talk about looping in Python. And we said looping is used to do repetitive tasks. And that's something like a while loop and a for loop. So you're going to see the usefulness of the while loop practically here. So the while loop is used to execute a block of code if the condition is true. So it will keep on executing that block of code as far as the condition is what is true. And it will stop when once that condition is not true. So for example, let's say count equals to 5. Then we give this while loop while count is less than or equals to 5. Do what? Print then count, we add it to count. If I run this code now, it will keep on running. So for example, you see, it keeps on running because 1 will be always less than 5. So I have to interrupt it here and then give it a condition, interrupt the code, and then increase this number. So each time this code runs, we increase it by 1 until the condition will not be met again, then it will stop. So for example, let's do this. You can see it's going to print from 1 to 5. But once it prints from 1 to 5, as it goes back again, 1 will be added to be 6. So it will go back again. 6 is now what is greater than 5. So 6 is not less than 5. So the condition will stop. So while loop is used to execute code as far as the condition you are given is true. While for loop is used to iterate over a sequence, which can be a list or range. For example, let's say we have this lists. Let's say we have a list which is in square bracket, list of name Daniel. Then we have Bob. Then we have another person, let's say Peter. Okay, so you can say for names in lists, print names. So you can see the usefulness of the for loop. It will go into this list, take this first name Daniel, store it in this variable name, print it, go back again, pick Bob, put it in this variable name, print it, go back. If you want to go through a list of items and print those items one by one, you use for loop. Apart from that, you can also use it in maybe range of numbers. Let's say num equals to a range of number, range between 0 to 5. So you can see this can be for I in num, print I. So you see we have 0, 1, 2. So it's going to iterate over a range of number from 0 to 4. I told you earlier that it's not going to print the last number you put in. It's going to print a number before the last. So that is basically the for loop and the while loop. So let's look at the break and continue statement. So for example, let's say our num equals, I'm going to still use range 10. So now then for I in num for I in num, and then we give it something like print I. So normally is to print a number from 0 to 9, but we want to stop this you want to stop this loop before it even gets to 9. You want to stop the loop before it gets to 9. So we are going to give a statement such as if I equals to what? Equals to 5. If I is equals to 5, do what? Break. So if I is equals to 5, do what? Break. So you can see now it's going to print a number from 0 to 4 because you have given this particular statement if I is equals to 5, break. So it will print 1, 2, 3, 4. When once this I is storing a value of 5, it will do what? It will break. So let's see continue. We say continue is used to skip a particular action. It's used to skip a particular action. So let's say you want to use continue here. Continue. So once it gets to 5, it will skip and then continue with the rest. So it's going to print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. When once it gets to 5, it skip, print 6, 7, 8, and 9. So let's see that in action. You can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is skipped because that is the condition we give, that when you get to 5, please leave that one, then continue with the rest. So how can we put this into kind of used, into hands-on use, or into real life application? So let's create a password authentication system. Password authentication system. So this authentication system will keep on asking you, please input password. Then if your password is correct, it will print something like you are logged in. Else, it will print something like incorrect password, and then go on and ask you for the password again. So we can put something like this. Username first. Let's do something like that. Username equals to input. Username is always string, so we are going to convert anything you put into string. Okay. While true. So while true, we give it a username input. Say please input your username. Username and then password equals to, password is always integer, string, or anything. For now, let's just use integer. And then you can say please input your 4-digit password. Okay. Before now, we are supposed to give a username here. You can say username equals to let's say username equals to Daniel. And then password equals to let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to give a statement if username equals username and okay, let's give it an input name here. Okay, equals username and then password. You know, this is a logical statement. We have done that. Equals imputed password. Then what will happen is it is supposed to break. Then when it break, it will print let's see, it will print something like you are locked in. Else, if okay, let's do it this way. You are locked in. Let's get rid of this first. Then else, it will print incorrect password. So that is it. Okay, so we're going to run our code now and see what we got. So please input your username. Let's say Daniel. Input my password 1234. You are logged in. Please input your username and then it will continue. So we have to interrupt this code now. Let's put in a wrong username and password. Let's say this is our username. Then you put in password. You can see incorrect password. So that has brought us to the end of this tutorial on looping. And you have so many assignments attached. You can just create so many things. You can create the password guessing game and the rest using this for loop and while loop. And then any difficulties you have, my DM is always active, so you can always reach out to me. So thank you for participating in this course and have a nice time.